Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, June 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. Zen Cache is trading at $20, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,734. Antiwar.com reports while the fate of millions of Yemeni civilians are up in the air with the fate of the Saudi-led invasion of the nation's main aid port, Hodeidah, fighting may be a more immediate threat to the 200,000-plus civilians living in the city itself. The safety of Hodeidah's residents is growing rapidly because the invading forces, having taken over the airport over the last few days, are advancing into residential areas. The rebel Houthis have been digging in to try to slow the advance of the Saudi-led forces as the UN tries to negotiate a deal. Hodeidah is the last port held by the Houthi rebels and subsequently the lone source of food and medical aid for 8.4 million people living in Houthi-held northern Yemen. The UN has warned the fall of the city could precipitate a famine and has been in talks trying to prevent this invasion. The United Arab Emirates presented the invasion of Hodeidah as the beginning of the end for the rebellion over 3 years into the conflict. The Houthis, however, are presenting themselves as fighting to the death to prevent the city from falling. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports President Donald Trump on Wednesday signed an executive order ending the practice of separating families at the U.S.-Mexico border. Trump said it's about keeping families together while at the same time being sure that we have a very powerful and very strong border, and border security will be equal if not greater than previously. Trump said his immigration policy continues to be zero tolerance. Under the order, entire immigrant families would be detained together by the Department of Homeland Security pending legal and court proceedings for the parents. Children would only be separated from their parents if their safety is at risk. Trump also ordered the Department of Justice to expedite the adjudication of cases involving families with children when possible. The executive order calls on Attorney General Jeff Sessions to seek a change to the so-called Flores settlement, which prohibits immigrant children from being detained for more than 20 days. A spokesperson from the Department of Health and Human Services, which is currently responsible for housing and caring for the already separated children, told NBC News they have no new orders on how to handle the children in their custody. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a hiker who has been missing for 2 days was found dead on Wednesday, the victim of an apparent bear attack on the outskirts of Alaska's biggest city, according to Anchorage police. The body of 44-year-old Michael Soltis was discovered after a brown bear mauled one of the volunteers searching for the missing man, according to MJ Tim of the Anchorage Police Department. Tim said the cause of death has not yet been confirmed and is still being investigated, but it appears that he was killed by the same bear that attacked the volunteer. Tim said, "What we believe is the brown bear was protecting its find, found, which turned out to be the body of the missing hiker. Tim said the initial attack happened in Eagle River, a woodsy suburb of Anchorage. Michael Soltis, who lived near the attack site, was an avid hiker and was last seen on Monday afternoon. His body was found just off a road in the area down a steep hill. Tim said officers have not yet found the bear, but have set a perimeter around the attack site, and if the bear returns, we're prepared to deal with it appropriately. Tim said the injured searcher was taken to a local hospital with a leg wound and is expected to survive. The Eagle River attack happened almost exactly a year after a 16-year-old Anchorage boy was killed by a black bear during a mountain race in Anchorage. The city is home to about 40% of Alaska's population, as well as bears, moose, wolves, and other wildlife.
Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com.
This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
In what medical authorities are calling one of the worst ointment complications in White Plains Hospital's history, area girlfriend Caroline Nagler was rushed to the ER this week after suffering an extreme overdose of scented lotion. With a blood lotion level of 0.45, hospital sources confirmed that Nagler had rubbed onto her body 4 times the lethal limit of shea butter, green tea cleanses, and naturally soothing mineral therapies.
Even putting aside the sheer level of lotion Miss Nagler had on her person when she arrived at the ER, this was an especially lethal combination she was using. She was mixing scented moisturizers, age-defying serums, and even some harder stuff like jojoba and essential fruit extracts. Frankly, she's lucky to be alive.
In other news, Beijing's air solidifies. A Delta Airlines counteragent assures a man he will never see his family again. And a mannequin must think he's some pretty hot shit. They say if you love something, let it go. But how could we possibly leave you behind after being blessed with a relationship as unique and complex as this one? For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We'll give you the toll-free call-in numbers here momentarily where you can call in and join us. The us in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we're going to start with the big news of the day that I'm guessing most people have probably heard about by now.
So isn't big news sort of a subjective way to introduce a show?
Well, basically everything is subjective.
I understand.
It was a particularly sunny day today is subjective.
That's a good point, Darryl.
I had a nice run today is subjective.
Well, that could be factual, but whether that was making it a good day is subjective to your point of view. So
right, but
okay.
But when I say
big news
big
of the
news,
day,
it's been on like everywhere I've looked. There have been posts about this particular thing.
Okay.
U.S. Supreme Court, and story here comes from Reason. U.S. Supreme Court rules that states can demand outside online retailers to collect sales tax.
That was a big story.
Yes. And Chris, this is something that I'm not sure if it affects you or not. I don't know how much online retailing you wind up doing in your retail business.
Very little. There is some, but it's not enough to talk about. And usually when people shop at a local goods place, they're looking for things they can actually touch and see. But yeah, conceivably, I mean, the idea that I would have to figure out how to charge Kansas sales tax if somebody wanted to order something from me, that's
right, and
that's horrible.
It might not just be the state of Kansas sales tax. I don't know if Kansas has municipal sales tax because some states do. And that's one of the things that's going to wind up adding a lot of complexity to this if states wind up doing what the Supreme Court is now saying that they are allowed to do. Again, story from Reason. They begin by saying, today the U.S. Supreme Court overturned past decisions and ruled 5-4 that states may potentially demand that businesses that don't have an actual physical presence within their borders must still pay sales tax on items they sell to residents who live there.
the ruling in the case, South Dakota v. Mayfair, overturns 2 previous Supreme Court precedents that limited states' ability to charge sales tax on goods that were shipped to customers in the state if the business did not have any physical presence in the state. This is something that, and pausing from the article here, this is something that has often been referred to as the catalog exemption.
Right.
And you probably remember catalog orders. I know I do.
Well, thanks, Darryl. Thanks for reminding me that I remember when we thumbed through the old Sears and Roebuck and...
Or the JCPenney's catalog.
Heather, did you ever order anything through catalogs?
Through catalogs?
Right. Like they were these pieces of sheets of paper that came in the mail.
I know what a catalog is.
I'm saying
trying to think back. If I did, it was probably like once.
Right.
Like Avon. A lot of times if you go to a laundromat, you'll still see Avon catalogs laying around. You might see a Finger Hut here or there.
Yep.
If you fly a good bit, there's always the, like really expensive, goofy stuff that's in the Sky Mall magazine.
Sky Mall. That's a great one.
My mom may have ordered us stuff as kids and through catalogs.
Right.
But I don't think I personally ever ordered from a catalog.
I suspect that's a very millennial thing that catalogs just dropped off the face of retail years ago.
Right. So
I also just made my first Amazon purchase 3 months ago. So
you are just an anachronism. You don't fit into the old world or the new. You are just lost there. You're a lost consumer.
Where's the Monty Python clip when you need it? I found the witch. May we burn her? Not that I would actually burn you. I just think it's fun. Yeah, because it is very rare that somebody in your age group doesn't really shop online.
Yeah.
Well, I do now.
Because you
just discovered Save It Purse and you can save money using Bitcoin.
I have not used Save It Purse.
We're working on that though.
Yeah, we're slowly getting her to take cryptocurrencies and learn how to use them. But yeah, it's something that in the quote unquote olden days people referred to as the catalog exemption, but over the last 10, 12 years or so, people have referred to it as the internet loophole, even though it existed long before the internet was even fathomed to be a thing. Again, continuing here with the article from Reason, they say consumers themselves could be ordered to pay sales taxes, but of course compliance would be extremely low. That prior to this ruling Chris, you used to live in Pennsylvania. Did you ever hear of the use tax? And a lot of states that have a sales tax also have a use tax.
What was that one?
So the use tax is if you purchase something from a different jurisdiction, but you use the thing in Pennsylvania or you use the thing in New York and it's brought in from a different jurisdiction where there was not a tax paid on it, you are supposed to tell them, I purchased this thing that was then untaxed and now here's my money.
Right.
So that's what they're talking about where it says consumers could have been ordered to pay the tax, but compliance was low because almost nobody ever did that.
Right. And the idea is you're never going to get high compliance. You're not going to get people sitting there going, I've ordered my socks. Let me try to figure out every single tax I should have paid on those.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. But what government likes to do and seems to want to do, and a lot of states are the ones pushing for this idea, is that let's put the onus for the collection of all taxes on online retailers, and let's just make them figure it out. Just figure out, because Darryl happens to be residing in, Bug Tussle, Alabama, which also has a municipal tax. Figure out exactly how much you should be collecting on this order, and it's insanity. And the reason I think this is an important ruling is because it's been kind of successfully fought against, somewhat successfully for some period of time.
Right, because there have been several attempts to push through legislation to do this, and it's always wound up dying because of basically the small business lobby saying, hey, you're going to destroy small businesses if you wind up passing this because so many people sell things online now.
Right.
And the difficulty
of trying to comply with, I think it's somewhere around 3,900 different taxing jurisdictions. And then when you add on the complexity of figuring out, oh, you're selling jelly that is not taxed in New Hampshire because it's not a quote-unquote prepared meal.
Right.
But in another state where they do tax food, you now have to tax it. And then, oh, is the Twix considered a candy bar or bread? Which is actually something that in some states, because there's flour in that cookie thing. So in some states, they consider it candy. Other states consider it bread because of the flour.
Do they serve it in school lunches? That's my question.
I don't know.
Does that meet your starch?
And then
or your...
I forget which state it is that, depending on which aisle the Twix is in, determines whether it is a bread or a candy.
I don't want any more government. That's it. That's all I want to say. Just that's I've had enough. This one story has killed my spirit. It's gone.
Oh, don't die.
No, it's too late, Darryl. It's too late. My spirit has crumbled in the face of big government. The fact that we actually have to talk about this stuff and debate it for no reason other than states and governments that feel that they need more money. They have to do more stuff to take care of us, and I'm sick and tired of it. I don't need it.
Right, and the underlying rationale or argument in this case, the state of South Dakota, believed that they were losing millions of dollars per year in tax revenue, and so they passed a law requiring out-of-state vendors to charge and submit sales taxes to the state if they reached a threshold of selling $100,000 worth of goods or 200 or more separate deliveries into the state of South Dakota. We'll tell you more, plus your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open your Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Blinkprotect.com/FTL to save 15%.
Zen Cache is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zen Cache has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zen Cache is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencache.com. That's zencache.com. Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material.
FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on us. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back into this story from Reason, and, well, it's probably on a bunch of other websites as well, about the Supreme Court ruling from earlier in the day, where Supreme Court ruled that states can require companies that have no actual physical presence in that state, that those businesses can be required to collect sales tax on behalf of the state. Again, we'll jump back into that. But first, I want to tell you about a website where you can go and learn all kinds of things about cryptocurrencies. That would be news.bitcoin.com. And again, news.bitcoin.com, they've got news about various Bitcoin-related things. Headline from just a few hours ago. Bitcoin businesses denied banking services in Ireland. But they also have an article about the cryptosphere losing its mind over a certain 18-digit number. Chris, do you know anything about that 18-digit number, and have you lost your mind yet?
I probably have lost my mind, but I'm not sure where you're going with the 18-digit number.
All I see is it's a headline on news.bitcoin.com, and I know that you're fairly active on the Twitters with various crypto news that goes around. So didn't know if you happen to have read about this somewhere.
I'll dig into it.
Don't dig too deep because, well, right now we're talking about the sales tax. And again, that's news.bitcoin.com. Talking about the much anticipated ruling from the Supreme Court in the case of South Dakota v. Mayfair. Again, state of South Dakota believed that they were losing millions of dollars per year in tax revenue. So their legislature passed a law requiring out-of-state vendors to charge and submit sales taxes to the state if those vendors did one of the following two things. Either sold $100,000 worth of net goods to people or businesses in South Dakota, or had 200 separate deliveries into the state of South Dakota. South Dakota petitioned the Supreme Court to vacate its previous precedents, and again, those previous cases were Quill v. North Dakota and National Bella Hess v. Illinois. Again, those previous precedents said that no, states cannot charge or require businesses to collect sales tax if they did not have a physical presence in that state. Again, it's part of what used to be referred to as the Catalog Exemption. Most recently, people have been calling it the Internet loophole. Again, state of South Dakota petitioned Supreme Court to vacate those previous precedents so it could demand online retailers like Wayfair and Overstock.com, both defendants in the case, to pay sales tax. The majority agreed in an odd combination of judges that defies ideological analysis. Justice Anthony Kennedy wrote the majority decision and was joined by Clarence Thomas, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch. The dissenting opinion, written by Chief Justice John Roberts, he was joined by Stephen Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan.
This is just a strange bedfellows sort of ruling here. I mean,
yes.
To go through those, I mean...
again, an odd combination that defies ideological analysis.
I can't place Anthony Kennedy right now. Is he more
I believe
liberal
he's
or
the guy that they refer to as like the swing justice.
Right. He's hard to nail down, but Clarence Thomas, generally conservative.
Yes.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, definitely liberal. Samuel Alito, definitely conservative. Neil Gorsuch, who knows? He was put in the position by Trump, but he's been kind of on both sides of a couple issues.
Right.
Kind of waver back and forth. Chief Justice John Roberts was appointed by Bush.
Yep.
And joined by Stephen Breyer, who's liberal, Sonia Sotomayor, who is another liberal, and Elena Kagan, who is also liberal.
Yes.
So it's a really weird combination.
The majority justified the decision partly because as online commerce has grown, these precedents now unfairly punish companies who are based within a state when compared to those who are situated elsewhere. The majority accepted the arguments that their previous precedents actually created an uneven taxing environment. The court ruled in part. In effect, Quill has come to serve as a judicially created tax shelter for businesses that decide to limit their physical presence and still sell goods and services to a state's consumers, something that has become easier and more prevalent as technology has advanced.
Oh, we have to punish that then, Darryl. My God, we've come up with a way to reduce costs by limiting physical requirements for buildings to be built all over the country when you can do it all from one. And we can do it in such a way that makes us more efficient. Yet, how do they categorize this? It's like it's a tax dodge to do business on the internet.
Right. So let's punish innovation.
Right. Exactly.
Worse still, the opinion quote here continues, worse still, the rule produces an incentive to avoid physical presence in multiple states.
You bet.
Distortions caused by the desire of businesses to avoid tax collection mean that the market may currently lack storefronts, distribution points, and employment centers that otherwise would be efficient or desirable. The Commerce Clause must not prefer interstate commerce only to the point where a merchant physically crosses state borders. Rejecting the physical presence rule is necessary to ensure that artificial competitive advantages are not created by the court's precedents. This court should not prevent states from collecting lawful taxes through a physical presence rule that can be satisfied only if there's an employee or a building in the state.
Oh, my God.
So This is the same kind of argument that, I forget which court it was, ruled that, well, see, you're on a computer, and that computer connects to the internet, and there's another computer in this state, so therefore we have jurisdiction.
Right. And when we talk about the Commerce Clause, basically what the Constitution boils it down, and Darryl can give you the exact specifics, I'm sure, but basically it's a way of leveling the field in commerce between states. What the founders and the framers were concerned with was that, well, you know, New Hampshire really wants to make a lot of money off of the citizens of Massachusetts on our border, so we're going to implement some special excise tax or some special way that we're going to tax those people more, and we're going to do that. And if you allowed, you know what's become 50 states to do that, you'd get this real quagmire. The idea was to eliminate all those barriers for commerce.
To eliminate tariffs between the states, essentially.
Sure. Right.
But what the Commerce Clause has been bastardized so badly. And I forget the case from, and I always forget if it was the 30s or 40s.
About the wheat?
The wheat, where some guy was growing wheat on his own yard for his own consumption.
Filburn.
And the court ruled that, well, see, you're not buying wheat that was made elsewhere, so therefore you're impacting interstate commerce, and we can regulate what you do on your own property because you're affecting interstate commerce.
Yeah, and the case...
We just have to prevent anybody from having an at-home garden because then they're not shopping at Hannaford.
Right. Basically, what Wickard v. Filburn said was the federal government can get in your face about any single transaction that occurs anywhere, whether it leaves a state, whether it doesn't leave a state. The feds are just, we're there, it's us, we can do what we want.
Everything is commerce, and everything that's not commerce is also commerce. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
If you like alkaline water, or know someone that does, you're going to love the Dillon Living Water Bottle. It creates alkaline water on the go while reducing plastic waste and saving you money. Made with surgical-grade stainless steel, the Dillon bottle increases the pH up to 9 to deliver both alkaline and antioxidant water anywhere you want it. Alkaline water is healthier, tastes better, and can even boost energy. The Dillon bottle makes it easy and affordable to be healthy and achieve optimal hydration. Get your Dillon bottle today at byln.co. That's byln.co.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back into discussing this, quite frankly, horrible Supreme Court decision. But then again, how many of them are not horrible these days? But first, I want to remind you about the Discord thing that, I know I'm acknowledging that Discord is a thing. Apparently somebody was all confused about the fact that I actually acknowledge Discord. It's like some kind of chat room system thing, and there's a call-in line, and Chris, I think you wind up using it.
I do. I pop into the Discord and say hi to our peeps over there. I guess that's what the kids would say.
Discord.lrn.fm, and I don't know if people have said peeps for like 15 years, unless referring to the marshmallow candy. That I'm not really sure if it's actually marshmallows or not. Have you ever tried to make a s'mores out of peeps?
No, it sounds like animal abuse in some form.
I don't know, but it might actually be pretty good. I don't know. I've never been able to make a s'more and actually have it melt the chocolate.
Interesting. You need to practice that, Darryl.
Discord.lrn.fm. So continuing on with the article here from Reason, and again, your calls and thoughts welcome, 855-450-FREE. Talking about this Supreme Court ruling from earlier in the day in the case of South Dakota v. Mayfair, where Supreme Court ruled that states can require outside online retailers or, any retailer that is not physically located in that state to collect sales taxes. The ruling, and again, this from Reason, the ruling pretty much ignores the idea that states can make themselves more desirable for businesses to locate there by, say, lowering their taxes. There may be some severe and unbalanced consequences for smaller businesses attempting to try to navigate extremely varied sales tax laws when selling goods. Big vendors can, and already mostly have done the tech work to make compliance possible, but as Veronica DeRugi warned in April, the ruling could jack up compliance costs for small online retailers, requiring them to calculate the demands of 12,000 tax collecting jurisdictions.
See, now, think about that, folks. You think that, okay, it's easy. New Hampshire, where we're broadcasting from, has no state sales tax. Okay, easy enough. Now, there are exceptions. Now, I recognize that.
Meals.
I recognize that, Darryl, but I'm not going to order a prepared meal likely that's going to be taxable over the internet. Don't even argue with me because you'll just distract me. But that's one thing. But and you could say, okay, and we know that Pennsylvania has a 6% sales tax or whatever it happens to be right now.
Right.
Fairly straightforward. But the issue is when you have to ship something to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Let's mention Alabama, because you mentioned Alabama earlier.
Bug tussle, specifically.
Right. Let's talk about a place that's actually real, Birmingham.
Birmingham, Alabama.
The state of Alabama has a sales tax that, when I last lived there, was 4.75%. It may have gone up a little bit since then. Every county is allowed to have their own sales tax that is on top of that.
Right.
And then every municipality is able to add their own additional tax on top of that. So in Birmingham, Alabama, you've got the state tax, the county tax, and then the municipal tax. And again, the last time I was there, the sales tax in Birmingham was 11%.
Right.
And that's divided between three different jurisdictions. So you're not just sending a check to one place.
Right. So let me put this in the reality of being a small online retailer. And I did this for a couple of years, I think right around whenever Edward Snowden made his things. I did some internet.
So 5 years ago.
Yeah, I did some internet privacy software, hardware stuff that I sold online. And I looked at this, and I used an open source shopping cart.
Okay.
So I didn't want to use anything I have to pay for, so I'm going to do this. And
so like a WooCommerce?
It was not. It was...
but something like that.
It was called Zen Cache. So,
Okay.
yeah, I could plug it into all sorts of different things. It had all kinds of features, was embed software. But even then, they had that built into it. So I would really have to specifically go in and activate certain files to say I am going to collect tax based on... for this jurisdiction based on this. If I were to assume that I would exceed some arbitrary number, because that would trigger me having to do it in.
And then you would have to figure out those numbers for all of these up to 12,000 different jurisdictions.
Right. And I had thousands and thousands of choices should I have decided that was a route I was going to go. My thing was, well, I'm a startup, so how much money could I really... ship to South Dakota? That was probably pretty unlikely. So I just kind of punted on that whole thing. But there is so much work. And when I see this, I see how much work goes into this. And that's not producing a damn thing, Darryl. There's nothing. There's no value.
No, you're producing spreadsheets.
No. There's zero production when it comes to most government. Government takes. Yes. And when states sue because they don't feel that they're getting their, every pound of flesh that they can get out of every frickin' consumer, it's a disgrace. It is just a disgrace. And if you did away with stupid crap like this, let people just buy what they want to buy. And if they want to buy it locally, fine. Implement your insane tax locally, and you'll find out that people will do what? Turn to the internet, or they'll turn to alternatives, or they'll drive across a border.
They'll move to the suburbs to avoid your tax. When they work in your city, they don't shop in your city because your taxes are too high.
Right. And in this case, the Supreme Court is rewarding bad behavior, and it's a disgusting ruling.
Continuing on, in a statement in response to the ruling, Eric Jaffe, appellate attorney for the Competitive Enterprise Institute, which submitted a brief supporting the online vendors, lamented, quote, "In allowing states to extend their taxing authority beyond their borders, the court passed up an opportunity to reassert the horizontal federalism principles of the Constitution."
Oh, forget federalism. There's no federalism left. It's fiefdoms.
Rather, adopting, and actually fiefdoms, from what I understand, the fiefs were actually more free than we are today. The peasants had much more vacation time than we do today.
What are fiefdoms?
That's what you run. Fiefdom, God, Darryl, I'm going to screw this up, so I thank you for putting me on the spot, Heather. Fiefdom, when I think of it, is some small petty lord that is the ruler over a smaller area than a kingdom.
I knew it sounded familiar.
Much smaller than a duchy or an earl or any. It's like the lowest tier of any of the things.
A fiefdom? Like, what the heck?
A duchy is the area ruled by a
Past the duchy.
It's the area ruled by a duke.
All these words sound so funny. Fiefdom, duchy.
Continuing on with the quote from Eric Jaffe, rather adopting mistaken notions that state sovereignty extend beyond state borders and that purchasing power of state citizens are asserted, or rather are assets belonging to the state, the court fundamentally subverts federalism. But again, Chris, as you pointed out, that's basically dead. Canada is much more of a federal form of government than the United States is now. The CEI is calling for Congress to fix the problem with legislation that would stop states from demanding taxes from businesses in other states. Normally, and I love the way Reason ends this article, normally you'd think a Republican Congress would jump on this. But have you heard about President Donald Trump's crusade against Amazon and Jeff Bezos?
Right. Yeah. This is... Oh, my God. Yeah, this is why the ideas of liberty are important. That we need to embrace freedom. And freedom isn't just, I have the right to say what I want to say because I have protected freedom of speech, blah, 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 blah. No. It's protecting every aspect of what you should have a right to do. And that means doing commerce with people, trading your hard-earned money for someone else's goods and services, or vice versa. You don't need government in the way, making everything more expensive, making the whole country less viable, and Just drives me nuts, Darryl.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck, or back, or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
Our homegrown small business tries to help people just like us. That's why we design and test our handmade products with great care before we introduce them to the public. You can easily find Sunny Bay heating pads on Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com and search for Sunny Bay heating pads.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we'll Actually, we're jumping stories here, but before we get into the next story, I want to make sure that I tell you about a website that got relaunched about a year ago, and it's something that libertarians have been asking for a really long time, and that is a directory of liberty-minded businesses. This one is called liberty.menu. It's a tool for our community. At its core is a directory for events, businesses, digital content, and more. Listings can be rated and reviewed, kind of like Yelp, and there's also a bit of a social networking aspect where you can connect and share with other users. Use of liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at liberty.menu. Use code FTL to get a special Free Talk Live listener badge. That's liberty.menu. So, Heather, you've got a story also from Reason about an apparent leaked memo from the ACLU.
Yep. So, and I'm actually interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this one, just because it is kind of a controversial thing. So this article from Reason is about leaked internal memo reveals the ACLU and thinks it's wavering on free speech. So it says the American Civil Liberties Union will weigh its interest in protecting the First Amendment against its other commitments to social justice, racial equality, and women's rights, given the possibility that offensive speech might undermine ACLU goals.
Yeah.
I wanted to stop after that very first paragraph.
Yeah. No, I think I've seen that. I mean, I think everybody can recognize that occurs in some organizations, and what I've always wanted to believe, that the ACLU would sort of, do what they've done with like Klan rallies. You know what I mean? We're going to go out there and we're going to defend them, not because we agree with them, but because it's the right thing to do. We are going to defend their right to say heinous things and do that. And there have been a couple examples over, I guess, the last couple of years where the idea of social justice seems to trump doing the right thing. We're taking a position because we think that is what more people will want.
Right, and if you remember, it was about a year ago when the ACLU came under a lot of fire because they were helping the white nationalists down in Charlottesville get permits.
Right. That's a good example.
And they even said, we're not supportive of what they're saying. We just believe they have a right to say it. But then some of these things have turned violent to where it looked like the organizers of the event were looking to get into a fight. And so then that's where you start having to try to draw the line of, are we defending free speech here, or are we assisting someone in assaulting other people under the guise of free speech?
Right. I've covered a lot of those events, and it's crazy because some of them do get violent. Like mob mentality when you get heated counter protests and stuff going to these events because, misinformation was published in a news article by the mayor of Boston. Next thing you know, there's 45,000 angry, emotional people standing there. You're screaming so loud you can't hear a word out of the speaker's mouth, even if it was good.
Hey, where's this Nazi I can punch?
And then, exactly. Yeah. And then, they're all just convinced, like, mob mentality that, like, these people are, like, the enemy. And it just, then obviously the people that.
And here's why I think it's fruitless to try to play this game that the ACLU appears to be playing, is because all this stuff is generated, and Heather gives a great example where it was based on quote unquote fake news. That's when we're talking about the protest down in Boston. That was not a protest. The Nazi protest that didn't have any Nazis. Never had any Nazis.
No Nazis.
Right.
I mean, I live streamed every speaker as they spoke, and there was nothing racist or Naziist or whatever you want to call about it. In fact, it was more unifying stuff that was coming out of their mouth. But like the crowd,
they were there
care.
Because the crowds become polarized. They get polarized by their base. So yeah, you got the alt-right folks who are going to stand up for their pals. Well, even if he is a Nazi, we're going to defend his right to free speech. And on the other side, you've got the Antifa crowd, however the hell you pronounce that, saying we have no tolerance for anybody who disagrees with us or, in any way supports Trump. So we're going to have more and more of these conflicts. I just don't think that the ACLU benefits by trying to pick winners and losers, or to say that they're going to look at cases based on what the outcomes may be. Just be a neutral.
Well, I've actually pulled up the internal memo, and they have a fairly lengthy list of criteria that they're going to wind up using. We'll get back into the article in just a moment, but first to the phones. We've got Ryan calling in from Albuquerque. Ryan, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, how are you all doing?
Great.
Doing well. You're on the radio. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, great. You can hear me. Well, I'm in a really bad situation. I'm fighting the governor who I dated 15 years ago, but I can't get the police to look at the cell phones. I had to break off the relationship. Well, she chose to use me. She was the ex-DA. She chose to use me as her little torture tool. So for the last 15 years, I've been kicked around, put in mental hospitals. She put her sister below me on my graduating semester to torture me, and her sister was retarded and older, and so no one believes me. And so I did police reports on her. I egged her sister's car, the governor's sister's car. I was put in prison for 13 months. I did an internal affair against the police. And right now I'm having standoffs against the police because they're trying to force medicate me again and again and again. I've said I'm not going to take medication anymore. If you have a problem with it, I'm going to fight you whenever you try to enter the house. So now I'm having standoffs with them, which is now called suicide standoffs, and they are not entering my house, and they're leaving. So I just had all my court records wiped off of my New Mexico court records, because what happened was 10 years ago, this is how she got ammo, is a girl did a cliff jumping accident in Lake Powell, Arizona. All the people
None of this seems to tie together. Ryan, I hope you're able to get help. There are a bunch of psychiatrists that might be able to help you. Unfortunately, we cannot thank you for the call.
Well, it was just getting interesting, Darryl.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting in the amount of insanity that was woven together without taking a breath.
You know what? I just watched Making a Murderer as a documentary. There's a possibility that this guy's telling the truth. So I don't know.
Oh, there's a possibility.
Does he call in a lot? Is there something I don't know that you guys know?
The phone screener listed he wants to talk about his mental health problems.
Okay, so he did.
Well, he made some. He says he dated a governor. What governor is he talking about?
I'm guessing one in
his head.
New Mexico, or one that doesn't actually exist.
Right, or the governor.
Are there any female governors? I don't even know.
Yes, there are. I'm trying to name one off the top of my head.
Kay Ivey in Alabama.
And we used to have, what's her name, Haley in South Carolina.
He said he was in New Mexico,
He did say he's in New Mexico, but crazy people don't really understand the laws of physics.
Or reality.
But did you know this guy prior to this call?
No, but nothing he said made any sense other than he's been having standoffs with the police, and if you're crazy, you're going to have standoffs with the police.
And if you are interested, if you're still listening and you want to talk about this more,
that the police were there to drug him?
I would encourage him to head on over to the Discord at Free Talk Live, discord.freetalklive.com. That is a group of people that will happily hear everything you say.
Yeah, so let's continue on with this article from Reason, Heather, about the internal memo from the ACLU, where Reason is saying that it shows that they're wavering on free speech rights.
Okay, so going back into it, staffers said our defense of speech may have a greater or lesser harmful impact on the equality and justice work to which we are also committed. In a confidential memo obtained by former board member Wendy Kaminer. It's hard to see this as anything other than a cowardly retreat from a full-throated defense of the First Amendment. Moving forward, when deciding whether to take a free speech case, the organization will consider factors such as the present and historical context of the proposed speech, the potential effect on marginalized communities, the extent to which the speech may assist in advancing the goals of white supremacists or others whose views are contrary to our values, and the structural and power inequalities in the community in which the speech occurs.
More on this, plus your calls and thoughts. Welcome. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations to referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, June 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. Zen Cache is trading at $20, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,734. Antiwar.com reports while the fate of millions of Yemeni civilians are up in the air with the fate of the Saudi-led invasion of the nation's main aid port, Hodeidah, fighting may be a more immediate threat to the 200,000-plus civilians living in the city itself. The safety of Hodeidah's residents is growing rapidly because the invading forces, having taken over the airport over the last few days, are advancing into residential areas. The rebel Houthis have been digging in to try to slow the advance of the Saudi-led forces as the UN tries to negotiate a deal. Hodeidah is the last port held by the Houthi rebels and subsequently the lone source of food and medical aid for 8.4 million people living in Houthi-held northern Yemen. The UN has warned the fall of the city could precipitate a famine and has been in talks trying to prevent this invasion. The United Arab Emirates presented the invasion of Hodeidah as the beginning of the end for the rebellion over 3 years into the conflict. The Houthis, however, are presenting themselves as fighting to the death to prevent the city from falling. For over 40 years, Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Robertson Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports President Donald Trump on Wednesday signed an executive order ending the practice of separating families at the U.S.-Mexico border. Trump said it's about keeping families together while at the same time being sure that we have a very powerful and very strong border, and border security will be equal if not greater than previously. Trump said his immigration policy continues to be zero tolerance. Under the order, entire immigrant families would be detained together by the Department of Homeland Security pending legal and court proceedings for the parents. Children would only be separated from their parents if their safety is at risk. Trump also ordered the Department of Justice to expedite the adjudication of cases involving families with children when possible. The executive order calls on Attorney General Jeff Sessions to seek a change to the so-called Flores settlement, which prohibits immigrant children from being detained for more than 20 days. A spokesperson from the Department of Health and Human Services, which is currently responsible for housing and caring for the already separated children, told NBC News they have no new orders on how to handle the children in their custody. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a hiker who's been missing for 2 days was found dead on Wednesday, the victim of an apparent bear attack on the outskirts of Alaska's biggest city, according to Anchorage police. The body of 44-year-old Michael SCOTUS was discovered after a brown bear mauled one of the volunteers searching for the missing man, according to MJ Tim of the Anchorage Police Department. Tim said the cause of death has not yet been confirmed and is still being investigated, but it appears that he was killed by the same bear that attacked the volunteer. Tim said what we believe is the brown bear was protecting its find, which turned out to be the body of the missing hiker. Tim said the initial attack happened in Eagle River, a woodsy suburb of Anchorage. Michael SCOTUS, who lived near the attack site, was an avid hiker and was last seen on Monday afternoon. His body was found just off a road in the area down a steep hill. Tim said officers have not yet found the bear, but have set a perimeter around the attack site, and if the bear returns, we're prepared to deal with it appropriately. Tim said the injured searcher was taken to a local hospital with a leg wound and is expected to survive. The Eagle River attack happened almost exactly a year after a 16-year-old Anchorage boy was killed by a black bear during a mountain race in Anchorage. The city is home to about 40% of Alaska's population, as well as bears, moose, wolves, and other wildlife. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Following reports earlier today that Indiana University freshman Lawrence Plotnick's roommate Brian Tabor has found an excuse to go home every weekend since August, Plotnick spoke to Onion reporters about his roommate's frequent trips to his nearby hometown of Terre Haute, Indiana.
Every week since we got here, it seems like every time I ask him if he wants to hang out on Friday, he has some wedding or birthday party or something. In fact, I'm pretty sure he hasn't spent a single Friday or Saturday night on campus in the past 6 months.
Plotnick went on to cite a variety of far-ranging excuses used by his roommate to justify his constant visits home, including various family functions, a visiting friend from China, as well as his occasional desire to, quote, just hang out at home for a couple of days.
I mean, I suppose I vaguely understood when he had to go back in November because his best friend's grandfather died, but last weekend he had to go back for his aunt and uncle's wedding anniversary. He said he couldn't miss it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Kicking off our number 2 in studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And you can join us by dialing toll-free 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In the last segment of the first hour, we got into the story about the ACLU's apparent, as Reason refers to it, wavering on free speech. And they cite a leaked internal memo that says that, well, the ACLU is going to, when deciding whether or not to take a free speech case, they will consider factors such as the present and historical context of the proposed speech, the potential effect on marginalized communities, the extent to which the speech may assist in advancing the goals of white supremacists or others whose views are contrary to our values, and the structural and power inequalities in the community which the speech will occur.
See, now I think that's a key phrase. What was the second to the last one? They talked about white supremacists and people who possess values that are in conflict.
Contrary.
Right.
Yeah, they said, or others whose views are contrary to our values.
Right. So in that simple phrase, that to me sort of does away with everything that I liked about the ACLU. And I understand they're a private organization. They can do whatever they want. And you can choose to help the ACLU or disregard the ACLU. Doesn't matter. I get it. But for me personally, the ACLU was always those people that people could turn to.
Like their values were your liberties.
Liberty was the value.
Yeah,
that was the value.
Not supremacy, liberty.
That's a great way of putting it, Heather.
Yeah, no, I get it. That makes sense. I mean, even though there's so many people that I don't support, but I just don't go see them speak, Like, it's just kind of one of those, if you don't support something, you don't go to it.
If you don't like what we say, you can change the channel.
You know what I mean? When you have, this idea that's being put out into the world that if you, show up in angry numbers to an event, you can inflict your opinions on everyone else. I mean, that's crazy.
Right. But people can. I think they have the right to do that regardless of how offensive that is.
What's scary is people don't realize, and I can understand the angry people in the crowds, when you think that there's these terrible people standing in front of you, but in the age of misinformation and technology and stuff, and it's you don't know what to believe anymore. It's crazy that people are going to be emotionally quick to judge a situation and then,
Yeah.
Right. And, on the offensive, you mentioned offensive speech. There's a fine line between, just saying something that is offensive on its face and what a lot of these people are talking about just go ahead and punch the guy. And how many times did Donald Trump mention something about, punch protesters?
Right.
That's offensive, but it's also advocating violence, and therefore I would say not necessarily free speech. If you're advocating violence, then you're advocating, something that goes against, other people's liberties and rights.
It's almost like the ACLU and groups like this that are making these public statements are almost doing so out of fear of the violence from the same marginalized communities that
No. This was not a public statement. This was a confidential memo that got leaked.
Right.
Yeah, but there's also some statements that we're giving too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Go ahead. You got more?
Oh, yeah, there's plenty more where that came from. It says the memo also makes clear that the ACLU has zero interest in defending First Amendment rights in conjunction with Second Amendment rights. If controversial speakers intend to carry weapons, the ACLU will generally not represent them. The memo's authors assert that this does not amount to a formal change in policy and is merely intended as guidelines that will assist ACLU affiliates in deciding which cases to take on. Kaminer, though, sees the memo as yet more evidence that the ACLU has already lost its zeal for vigorously defending the speech it hates. As she writes in the Wall Street Journal, the speech case guidelines reflect a demotion of free speech in the ACLU's hierarchy of values. Their vague references to the serious harms to marginalized people occasioned by speech can easily include the presumed psychological effects of racist or otherwise hateful speech, which is constitutionally protected but contrary to the ACLU values.
Yeah, there's...
So in the Constitution, kind of in a sense, goes against their values.
Yeah.
Inadvertently.
Well, yeah, or they perceive the Constitution as saying, meaning one thing when they feel another way. I just don't... The Constitution does not protect. Supposedly, it protects my right to free speech, but I don't rely. Supposedly, but I don't rely on it because it's surrounded by a system that doesn't work. So it's great that it says that my freedom of speech won't be, infringed, but that still doesn't mean that I won't go to court because I yelled out fire in a crowded movie theater.
Right.
I won't get charged.
Constitution also supposedly recognizes your right to petition the government for redress of grievance, but the Supreme Court ruled 13 years ago that there's no obligation to respond to said petitions for redress.
Right.
So what good's a petition, the ability to petition for redress if I'm never getting an answer?
Right. And it's that there are no magic bullets in life. You know, we don't have automatic solutions to every problem, and the Constitution certainly isn't one of those. I think it's a good guideline, but I also think the 10 Commandments are good guidelines, and I kind of go that way too. So,
well, what's crazy is it even says that in Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, the ACLU defended the First Amendment rights of a Ku Klux Klan leader prosecuted for addressing a small rally and calling for revengeance against blacks and Jews. The U.S. Supreme Court reversed Clarence Brandenburg's conviction, narrowly defining incitement to violence as speech, both intended and likely to cause imminent legal action.
Illegal.
That's what I said. Illegal.
You said legal.
I thought I just said illegal.
Okay,
oh my God,
Heather,
that was so quick.
I screw stuff up all the time.
Anyway,
right, I just wanted to make
action.
sure that it was clear what the court was ruling. Can you read that last sentence one more time?
Narrowly defining incitement to violence as speech both intended and likely to cause imminent illegal action. Brandenburg made an essential distinction between advocacy and action, which progressives who equate hate speech with actual discrimination or violence seek to erase.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. I just, my opinion of the ACLU goes down a little bit, because of this memo. That's where I'm at. It's not to say that people that support what they do, and not that I think that the ACLU will cease to do important things in the future and defend important cases and defend people, but I'm just gonna.
What do you think?
I'm gonna be jaded by my knowledge that now I know that they're gonna kind of be a little pickier and choosier than they were before.
I know, and it's kind of disappointing too that when you keep going into the article, they start talking about, like, one of the spokespersons said that the ACLU generally will not represent protesters who seek to march while armed, which is Second Amendment being so important. It's kind of like a shame that, the ACLU is sitting there saying that, like, if you exercise your Second Amendment, we're not going to help you.
Yeah, it's whether you agree with our, and I just don't like where it's going. It is disappointing. That's it.
So speaking of that, and I, again, have the leaked memo pulled up about the speakers carrying weapons. It says the presence of weapons can be intimidating and inimical to the free exchange of ideas. They can chill speech and justify state suppression of protest. Accordingly, the ACLU generally will not represent protesters who seek to march while armed. It is important that this content-neutral rule will be applied without regard to the speaker's political views. It should also apply whether or not state law permits or prohibits the carrying of weapons in a protest. To this end, and consistent with time and resource constraints, including assistance from the national office to affiliates and vice versa, we should exercise due diligence in assessing whether the potential client seeks to march while armed. If there's reason to believe that the client does intend to do so, we are unable to satisfy ourselves that they will not do so. We will be reluctant to accept representation. Doesn't say they won't, just they'll be reluctant. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
From the sixth letter of Captain Mark. A pirate's life is characterized by voluntary interactions. Unfortunately, the Crown presses everyone into involuntary servitude. Landlubbers believe slavery was abolished years ago, but the Crown still claims to own us when it crimps us into service against our will. Given sufficient ambition, it would gladly draft thousands of hapless victims to kill or be killed. It's simply slavery by another name. Landlubbers are routinely commanded to serve the so-called justice system in jury duty. But before you swell with civic pride, consider that how you feel is irrelevant to the Crown. You will appear as ordered or face punitive measures. The Crown insists that you participate in your own oppression. A jury summons provides pirates with a unique opportunity to obstruct injustices. A juror can vote not guilty, even if it's proven the law was violated. A juror can acquit for any reason at all, and not even a judge can reverse that verdict. Receiving a jury summons is basically winning the sedition lottery. But if you reveal that you know this during jury selection, you'll probably be dismissed. If the Crown foolishly crimps a pirate into jury duty, it behooves the pirate to conceal their intention to nullify unjust laws. If a master takes 100% of your labor, it's called slavery. But if they only take 50%, they call it taxation, a difference of degree, not of kind. Whether the Crown claims a fortune or a cent is irrelevant. Most of all, a slave owner desires contented slaves, meaning thoughtless ones that accept their bondage. These house slaves see no contradiction in being drafted in a war to end slavery or summoned to a jury to prosecute tax evasion. An ideal slave knows no higher call than the master's will. The Crown's highest ambition is that its slaves revere the authority that subjugates them. But the Crown does not own me. I will not surrender my time and treasure to the Crown's ambitions. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we'll get back into the article here from Reason.com in just a second. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about, it's some really good technology with some really good philosophy behind it, and that would be Zen Cache. Zen Cache was made by voluntarists for voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. And Zen Cache, unlike most other cryptocurrencies, actually has the ideas of voluntary interaction written into their white paper. They currently have well over 11,000 secure nodes, which makes the Zen Cache blockchain one of the most secure and largest of all of the cryptocurrency node systems. And Zen Cache allows for secure private transactions. Learn more at zencache.com. That's zencache.com. So let's jump back into this article again from Reason.com, where Reason, they're being somewhat, I would say, critical of the ACLU and this leaked internal memo that is marked as a confidential memo that was not supposed to have gone out to people not working for the ACLU. Reason says that it shows that the ACLU is wavering on free speech.
So going back in, it says, it seems fairly clear to me what's happening here. Leadership would probably like the ACLU to remain a pro-First Amendment organization, but they would also like to remain in good standing with their progressive allies. Unfortunately, young progressives are increasingly hostile to free speech, which they view as synonymous with racist hate speech. Speech that impugns marginalized persons is not speech at all in their view, but violence. This is why student Black Lives Matter group shut down an ACLU event at the College of William and Mary last year, chanting liberalism is white supremacy and the revolution will not uphold the Constitution. Campus activism is illiberal and liberal free speech norms conflict with the broad protection of emotional comfort that the young modern left demands. So I had no idea about that protest. Did you?
Can't say I followed that one specifically.
Yeah, I had not heard about that one again
crazy.
at the College of William and Mary.
Yeah, they shut down a whole ACLU event. I wonder what the event was about.
I don't know. Just go ahead, finish the article, and then we'll jump to the phones here.
Yep. Oh, right. So it says the ACLU's capitulation to the anti-speech left should serve as a wake-up call for true liberals. What has taken place on campus over the last decade does matter, and though the scope of the problem is frequently overstated, we should all be concerned with the nation's premier civil liberties organization is increasingly afraid of defending the First Amendment, not because the Trump administration scares them, but because college students do.
That's interesting. And just one point in there, because they do bring up the word liberal.
Right. And again, that's Reason's sort of interpretation of this. And, there are times when Reason does take sort of a right-leaning stance on things.
I kind of agree with it, just having covered a bunch of these, alt-right gatherings or free speech rallies and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
it seems pretty accurate.
I'm talking specifically about the final sentence here where Reason says, they're scared of college students. That seems to be, this author's sort of right-leaning slant on what the memo actually says.
Well, I think he is correct in identifying that colleges have become increasingly illiberal. In that they are not tolerant of speech that may not conform to common speech that you may hear on a college campus from professors and instructors. And there's no question about that. The idea, and this is one for people who haven't really listened to us before, but the phrase liberal, the word liberal was something that was used to represent values that weren't specifically like the liberal that you know today.
Right.
It did not mean that you were just about big government and things like that. In the past, the idea of the classical liberal through portions of our country's history meant someone who was very much pro-liberty and very much against the idea of a controlling, overreaching government. So it's kind of flipped around on its head. I want to bring it back. I'm claiming that word back.
Let's go to the phones, 855-450 free. We've got Mike calling in from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Mike, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Thank you. I'm going to call in about what is going on down in Leon Valley, Texas.
Okay.
There is a police department completely out of control. Tomorrow and Saturday, there's scheduled huge rallies. This is a combination between First Amendment auditors and Second Amendment auditors, namely Open Carry, Texas. It's been going on for about a week. I don't know if you guys know anything about it. The police chief and his employees down there, what was it, 2 days ago? The protesters showed up to kind of talk with the police chief a little bit about a SWAT raid he had done on someone who had complained about a sign they had posted. They had a sign posted that violated state law. A guy showed up, said, "Hey, your sign violates state law. Here's the code. Here's, what you're supposed to do." They raided his house, stole his guns at midnight. It was a no-knock midnight warrant. Had his kids on the ground, everything. So obviously protesters show up and say, "Hey, that wasn't right." The police chief decided he wasn't going to tolerate the protesters standing outside his police department, and they held up the thin blue line flag, and it was burned. They had taken it out of the town, burned it, put the fire out, brought it back into town, showed him. That got him completely snowflake butthurt.
Wow.
So he had his police officers run outside, and not only did they arrest the man holding the burnt flag, the flag that was not burnt in his town. But they also arrested anyone who saw him holding it because, and I quote, as the video shows, because they were all live streaming, you're all witnesses, therefore you're under arrest.
What?
Unreal. So, I'm digging into this. And for people that may not be familiar with, the thin blue line flag, it's a characterization of the United States flag, but replacing one of the bars the stars and stripes, one of the stripes, with a blue line representing police officers.
But all of the other stripes, they're not red. All of the thin blue line
are
flags
black.
that I've seen, and
Are black and
the
blue.
They're
blue,
black and white.
it's
Right.
all, it's a black and white flag with one blue
Right.
line.
Right.
So
kinda
my
creepy.
question here is,
It's kind of creepy.
the flag that this guy burned, did he wind up stealing that from someone, or was it a flag?
It was
it was his.
It was his own property. It was his property. He had a receipt for it, and the chief of police told him if he burned it, he would arrest him for an open flame. So the man was even smart enough to take it outside of the jurisdiction of the town
Right.
and burn it there.
Well, that, Mike, is crazy. Let's hold you over.
Yeah.
Not sure if there's more to this story or not. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
You have been lied to. Generation after generation, time after time after time.
If you follow the money, then you understand why America's in the condition it's in.
You created the Federal Reserve in 1913 through lies. You create 9/11. Through 9/11, you're fighting a war on terror, and now all of a sudden you go into Iraq, which was another lie.
This book will open people's eyes. Order now at killingunclesambook.com. killingunclesambook.com.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Now, a lot of little girls do ballet even though their fathers couldn't care less and don't see what the big deal is. But one talented little prodigy actually choreographed a whole ballet that her father could enjoy and even look forward to. Let's meet Erin Kemper and her father, Jack.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Erin, how did you do that? I thought about all the things that my dad likes to watch and put it into a ballet.
Well, we have a special treat for you today because Erin is now going to perform her new ballet. When I pay the bills, I get to make the rules.
We can't afford that. World War II. I miss your mother too, but we're gonna have to do the best without her. Go Redskins!
Bravo! Well done. Boy, I wish she were mine. You know, my two girls are grown up, but you still couldn't pay me to watch one of their a cappella shows. What inspired you to create this amazing ballet?
I'm really inspired by the theme of my dad paying any attention to me at all.
Now, at the end, I hear she just put the game up on the big screen.
I don't know where she gets it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we're about to go back to the phones where we've got Mike calling in. He brought up this story out of Leon Valley, Texas. Chris, this is something that none of us here in studio have heard of prior to, but you've actually pulled up a story from The Maven, which is a news outlet that I was not familiar with, but then I saw the author was Carlos Miller.
Right.
And he's not one to generally make things up. So I'm going to take it that what is being reported there is factual. But that appears to be the only outlet that has any info on this particular story.
Not say it's the only one, but it's the only one I've been able to find. So I'm just curious if this is occurring. It seems like it's a bigger story than is being revealed in the press. Or is this one of those things where things got blown a little bit out of proportion and like that? So I was just going to kick back to our friend in Pennsylvania and say, I mean, where are you seeing this some other source other than the Maven?
Yes. The auditors that are down there, again, First and Second Amendment auditors, not just First Amendment auditors, they are YouTube living. They're streaming live, and you can see the entire action going on. Like you said, the PNAC News, several representatives from, I know Carlos Miller is no longer affiliated with them, but it's still reputable.
Right.
They're down there, and they're live streaming it.
So what exactly is a First Amendment auditor? You used that term a couple of times.
A First Amendment auditor, typically they focus on freedom of speech and freedom of press, 2 of the 5 elements of the First Amendment. They believe, and rightly so, the courts have already ruled, that all citizens who going out, viewing information in public, and then reporting it to anyone, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or even just to tell their own wife and kids, is a reporter.
Yeah.
So any attempts by the government to stop that or silence that is a violation of the First Amendment.
Right. And I think for most of us and most listeners probably think when we think auditor, we either think A, it's the IRS, or B, it's some company that we've hired to come look at our books and stuff
I've heard
like
of vote counting auditors, to where it's some independent group that verifies votes. That's why when you say First Amendment auditor is like, also, is it some group that's verifying whether or not the cops are arresting people with cameras?
Right.
But it sounds to me like you're using it to say it's people that are there with cameras.
Yeah, who are who are doing the right thing, and then they are trying to keep the
So it's
the
independent
police.
media.
Right. Yeah. We were just, I think, kind of thrown by
So what would be a Second Amendment auditor? Is that somebody that is auditing whether or not cops arrest people with guns?
Correct. Usually open carry states. Cops who open carry themselves. You never see a cop untuck his shirt over his gun belt. Open carry states, which allow open carry. These Second Amendment auditors will typically open carry, just walking down the street on a sidewalk, and see if the cops are going to harass those citizens. If they don't, they get a pass. Great job. You upheld the Second Amendment. If they stop them and say, hey, you can't carry a gun in my town, obviously you failed.
Right. So I think it's great. I think it's a great I find it interesting because the term is something I've not really heard in activism, but it's a pretty interesting use of that, and I applaud these guys. The idea, the entire story of this thin blue line and the fact that they went out of their way to do it in a way that would be legal, to burn and desecrate, quite frankly, a flag that has already been desecrated.
A piece of cloth made in China that they bought at Walmart.
Well, yeah. And I mean, for people that are all, well, we've got laws against that stuff. Yeah, the law talks about how you cannot put commercial images, how you cannot alter the image of the U.S. flag,
that's
et cetera,
what
et cetera,
they
et
did,
cetera.
though. Like the police did, anyway.
Well, yeah, that's the entire
that's
idea
what I don't like about it is because I'm like, what? Like, how are you gonna turn all the stripes black like that, like all the red ones black like that, and all the stars black or whatever? Because the whole thing was black and white with one blue line,
right?
But you just totally reinvented the American flag. Who are you? And give me back America.
Well, I don't know if I'll go that far, but I will say that
it's kind of creepy though.
I'm a baby libertarian, much like Heather. Still new to the whole thing.
That's okay.
I came onto it by Free Talk Live. Thank you guys. You're helping me change my views on everything, and I encourage you just to keep talking and keep helping me grow in libertarianism.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, do you know if the Harrisburg Liberty Alliance is still around down in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania?
I believe it is no longer around ever since the last time they invited you guys to come down, and it shut down that whole thing. I don't think it ever came back. Interesting. Yeah, that was a good group of folks at one time. Really appreciate the call. Do you mind if I... go ahead. Do you mind if I just add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Individuals that were arrested for being witnesses to the crime, the police went into their pockets, found their car keys, used the key fob, the door alarms, to search the town for their keys or for their vehicles, and impounded their vehicles. 8 hours later, released those people saying, well, we were only holding you to question you. Oh, by the way, we've impounded your car. You now owe us $495.
Of course, because they were probably in a 3-hour parking zone or
that's good.
Something.
No, one of them was in a Walmart.
Oh, jeez.
So parking on private property and you weren't a customer because we arrested you before you could go to Walmart or something. Mike,
Arrested
thank you for the call. And if you hear of any updates on this, definitely call us back. And yeah, this is just absolutely ridiculous.
It is. The insanity is, and this is when I look back to our populace and say, okay, these same people that are going to sit here and go, well, no, you got to respect that thin blue line flag because that represents police and given their lives.
Me out about that flag, though.
Right. But in the same sense, they're going to sit there and say, there's a law, or there should be a law against standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And no, you don't get to come up with all these ideas of how it fits your version of patriotism and how there has to be a law that supports your viewpoint. What you have to do is understand that this country was built on people's differences. It wasn't designed, or we didn't come together because we all agreed on everything.
I like the patriotic cops, because there's some good videos on YouTube and stuff where you see these huge pro-Constitution officers, and they're so proud to you know what I mean, defend the Constitution and do it by being in their position. And then you get these, I don't know, man. I just don't like the psychology aspect of the thin blue line flag. We're above the country. It's almost seeming because you have the American flag, which the constitutional good cop kind of guy would happily wave, and that's kind of, I grew up going to events seeing that, you know what I mean? And 4th of July events, all the cops were waving flags and stuff, and so it's to replace that with a thin blue line one, just to me kind of erodes what they previously stood for as far as being the peacekeepers of America.
God, I'm gonna have to dig it up. And I had the YouTube years ago. This is probably going back 3 or 4 years, but it was a police officer who was called to a freedom of speech question inside an airport, and it was a sheriff's deputy who was called, because they were trying to hand out flyers and they didn't have a permit. That's what it was about. It was about people's unreasonable search when they were getting on a plane. So a bunch of protesters are outside and they're handing out flyers to everybody who comes through the line. And, here comes the bureaucrat, the guy who's in charge of the airport, and he gets to say what he wants, and he's saying, well, no, you can't do that. You didn't fill out all these forms. And the protesters kind of stood their ground, and they ended up getting a sheriff's deputy. And the sheriff's deputy came over, and he looked at the bureaucrat, and he's like, well, no, this is public property, and these people absolutely have a First Amendment right to do this, and you can't stop them, and I can't stop them.
As long as they're not preventing people from getting into the security line or preventing them from checking their bags or whatever, they're not doing anything wrong.
Right, but we should not have to look hard, and I should not have to go back 3 years in memories to try to remember an example of a police officer defending the Constitution.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original, most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment, it gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we'll jump into, Chris, you've actually got a story about a DHS employee getting heckled by a DOJ employee, something along those lines. Again, we'll jump into it here in just a moment. But first, want to remind you about a home security system that, well, it's wireless, it's motion activated, and it's easy to set up, and you can check it at any time from your portable device, whether it be a smartphone, a tablet. Let's say you just want to take a look. Say you're on vacation. You want to take a look, see what the cat's doing. You can do that, or you can set it to go off whenever anything moves in front of it. And then maybe that motion was a cat. Maybe it was something not a cat. But isn't it better to wind up knowing before you wind up, getting some alert from the neighbor of, oh yeah, there's something going on at your house. Everything okay? No, get the Blink security system, and again, wind up getting this easy-to-use system for much less than what some of the other guys charge. You can actually get 3 Blink security cameras for way less than the other guys and get an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. That's blinkprotect.com/FTL. One more time, Blink Protect, all one word, blinkprotect.com/FTL.
Yeah, and Darryl, this was a big story last week. We had
security cameras?
No, Darryl, quit doing it. Quit being so well. Let me not be negative. Welcome back, pedantic Darryl, because it's been a week, 2 weeks actually for Heather and I since we've got to do the show. So you guys were away at Fork Fest last week. I get it. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting my pedantic fill.
Well, I just mentioned cameras, and then you said it was big news.
All right. Well, the big news I was referring to was Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, who, of course, she has ICE and most of the immigration departments of the U.S. government report through her. And she was seen eating at a Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
And a lot of people saw the irony.
I saw the headline that apparently some government employee was eating at a Mexican restaurant and got heckled by some patrons.
Right. So here you have the person who's in charge of enforcing all these immigration laws sitting down for a nice Mexican lunch and getting heckled by a bunch of protesters.
Was she eating out of one of those burrito bowls to where there's a wall built around the salad?
That's a good question. I don't know what, but a bunch of people heckled her, and as it came out and as this stuff appeared on, YouTube and Facebook live streaming and stuff like that, apparently a few of them claimed to be socialists. So that caused people to dig into who are these socialists that were heckling the Secretary of DHS. One of the socialist protesters who accosted Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen on Tuesday at a Mexican restaurant has been exposed as, wait for it, a Department of Justice employee. This is coming to us from Fox News. Allison Hrebar, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America who attended the protest against Nielsen over the controversial border law enforcement, was revealed to be a paralegal specialist at the DOJ, the Washington Examiner reported. Quote, "It feels really good to confront people who are actually responsible, which is what we have a unique opportunity to do in D.C., unquote, the DOJ worker told the outlet. Nielsen has had to face an angry group of socialist protesters who repeatedly shouted, 'Shame!' I guess they were Westeros fans yes. of Game of Thrones, as she attended a work dinner at a swanky Mexican restaurant in the nation's capital. If kids don't eat in peace, you don't eat in peace, unquote, another protester was heard yelling at the protest. Quote, "How can you enjoy a Mexican dinner as you are deporting and imprisoning tens of thousands of people that come here to seek asylum in the United States," unquote, another one shouted. Harabar wasn't bothered by her association with the DOJ, citing her protected First Amendment rights to protest anyone outside of her working hours. She went on to encourage people to confront officials in public places. Quote, if you see these people in public, you should remind them that they shouldn't have peace, unquote, she said. We aren't the only ones who can do this. Anyone who sees Kirstjen Nielsen at dinner, anyone who sees anyone who works at DHS and ICE at dinner can confront them like this, and that's what we hope this will inspire people to do, unquote. But according to the Daily Caller, Harabar has made a habit of using social media to send political messages during her work hours. Oh, dear. Including celebrating the protest. Quote, keeping families together in jail is not an acceptable solution, she wrote on Twitter on Wednesday afternoon. Of course, they don't point out whether she was maybe on her break or
right. I was about to ask.
Was at her desk.
Yeah, was this during her smoke break?
Right.
Do DOJ employees get smoke breaks?
In another tweet, she reportedly wrote, no one who has ever made their living terrorizing immigrants deserves peace. If you see one in a restaurant, at a movie, or in your neighborhood, remind them of that, unquote. Her Twitter account has since been locked and made private. So a couple things I get out of this story. Number one, this I'm just showing my Cold War age. I just never imagined that we would have somebody working at the Department of Justice who would also be a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, because I have such a loathing of socialism.
Yeah,
I do. It is the most evil system of government known on our planet, in my opinion.
It leads to communism. It's kind of like a precursor.
It is. It's one step away, and I think people that support socialism, even if it's kindly old Grandpa Bernie Sanders, you are supporting...
Whose wife is being investigated by the FBI.
My real thing is socialism eventually leads to millions of deaths and millions of people dying. So
yes,
it's the feel good, but yeah, it doesn't end up that way. The second thing is I do applaud what she says. I think that if you're a government employee or if you're a citizen and you see, a public official, you have every right to interrupt their dinner at a swanky Mexican restaurant. If you're not trespassing, if you're not doing anything that violates the rights of somebody else, take that as your moment to redress your grievances. And I know people fall down on very hard sides on the issue of immigration. There's been fury online about the pictures that came out showing children being locked up in cages, basically being held in, not behind barbed wire, but behind chain link fences and things like that. As it turns out, those photos
were old.
Well, yeah, they were all
some of them were old, but some of them not so old.
Right. The ones that originally caused most of the furor, that was all from the Obama administration. So people need to understand that while you may not agree on certain policies of our current administration, realize that other administrations have done the same thing in the past. At least be consistent.
Right.
If you're going to call out Trump, call out Obama.
One thing that there are actually a lot of things that I like about the New Hampshire state constitution, but one of them in particular is Part 1, Article 8, that says that all power residing originally in and being derived from the people, all magistrates and officers of government are their substitutes and agents, and at all times accountable to them.
Right.
So, yeah, you're eating dinner at a Mexican restaurant down the street on Taco Tuesday, and, well, I should be able to ask you questions. I probably wouldn't because, I don't want to be the a-hole that's interfering with somebody's dinner, but, somebody is well within their rights. Now, the owner of the Mexican restaurant could wind up saying, hey, can you please not bother other patrons in my establishment?
Don't harass people here or leave. Yeah, they can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just I found that just sort of interesting. And I don't know what people, what do people who are listening to the show, what do you think when somebody accosts a public official? You see sometimes they get ambushed by like guerrilla journalists who jump in their face and start asking them tough questions. Do you think they should have to answer those? Do you think they can just, whenever they don't like the direction it's going, they can turn and walk away from the public?
Right. And, there's a line, and I don't know how thick this line is, but there is a line between the Dave Ridley style of ambush interviewing and TMZ.
Right. Yeah.
Not all, ambush interviews or, accosting of government officials needs to be the TMZ style.
Right.
It can be done with tact. This is Free Talk Live, Hour 3 coming up next. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
How well and how fast does Heart and Body Extract work to improve blood circulation? Listen.
My name is Ellis, and I am 66 years old, and I live in Jacksonville, Florida. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed as having clogged arteries. I had 70% blockage in one artery leading to my heart. They wanted me to go on Plavix, but I refused, knowing the negative side effects.
Heart and Body Extract is a unique balance, synergy, and proportion of herbs reaching from head to toe at maximum absorption around 95% at the cellular level.
Within the first month, I felt a dramatic difference. The heaviness in my legs was reduced, and within 2 months, I felt completely normal.
Your natural organic herbal formula for heart health is Heart and Body Extract. Heart and Body Extract comes with a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Details at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract. Call 866-295-5305, 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, June 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. Zen Cache is trading at $20, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,734. Antiwar.com reports while the fate of millions of Yemeni civilians are up in the air with the fate of the Saudi-led invasion of the nation's main aid port, Hodeidah, fighting may be a more immediate threat to the 200,000 plus civilians living in the city itself. The safety of Hodeidah's residents is growing rapidly because the invading forces, having taken over the airport over the last few days, are advancing into residential areas. The rebel Houthis have been digging in to try to slow the advance of the Saudi-led forces as the UN tries to negotiate a deal. Hodeidah is the last port held by the Houthi rebels and subsequently the lone source of food and medical aid for 8.4 million people living in Houthi-held northern Yemen. The UN has warned the fall of the city could precipitate a famine and has been in talks trying to prevent this invasion. The United Arab Emirates presented the invasion of Hodeidah as the beginning of the end for the rebellion over 3 years into the conflict. The Houthis, however, are presenting themselves as fighting to the death to prevent the city from falling. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports President Donald Trump on Wednesday signed an executive order ending the practice of separating families at the U.S.-Mexico border. Trump said it's about keeping families together while at the same time being sure that we have a very powerful and very strong border, and border security will be equal if not greater than previously. Trump said his immigration policy continues to be zero tolerance. Under the order, entire immigrant families would be detained together by the Department of Homeland Security pending legal and court proceedings for the parents. Children would only be separated from their parents if their safety is at risk. Trump also ordered the Department of Justice to expedite the adjudication of cases involving families with children when possible. The executive order calls on Attorney General Jeff Sessions to seek a change to the so-called Flores settlement, which prohibits immigrant children from being detained for more than 20 days. A spokesperson from the Department of Health and Human Services, which is currently responsible for housing and caring for the already separated children, told NBC News they have no new orders on how to handle the children in their custody. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a hiker who has been missing for 2 days was found dead on Wednesday, the victim of an apparent bear attack on the outskirts of Alaska's biggest city, according to Anchorage police. The body of 44-year-old Michael Soltis was discovered after a brown bear mauled one of the volunteers searching for the missing man, according to MJ Tim of the Anchorage Police Department. Tim said the cause of death has not yet been confirmed and is still being investigated, but it appears that he was killed by the same bear that attacked the volunteer. Tim said what we believe is the brown bear was protecting its find, which turned out to be the body of the missing hiker. Tim said the initial attack happened in Eagle River, a woodsy suburb of Anchorage. Michael Soltis, who lived near the attack site, was an avid hiker and was last seen on Monday afternoon. His body was found just off a road in the area down a steep hill. Tim said officers have not yet found the bear, but have set a perimeter around the attack site, and if the bear returns, we're prepared to deal with it appropriately. Tim said the injured searcher was taken to a local hospital with a leg wound and is expected to survive. The Eagle River attack happened almost exactly a year after a 16-year-old Anchorage boy was killed by a black bear during a mountain race in Anchorage. The city is home to about 40% of Alaska's population, as well as bears, moose, wolves, and other wildlife. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Calling it the most effective means to reaching one's full earning potential. A new report issued by the Employee Benefit Research Institute this week found that violently slamming one's supervisor against a wall and shouting, "Cash, I need more cash," is still the leading tactic for securing a raise amongst American workers.
We found that employees have the most success negotiating their salaries when they stride confidently into their supervisor's office, manhandle them like a rag doll, and demand more money right now.
Experts confirmed that the majority of employees who managed to increase their salaries maintained direct eye contact with their supervisors while reiterating that they were not f***ing around, emphasizing their position with phrases such as, "Give me the money now," and "I said more cash, old man." The Onion sat down with Kevin Simmons, who recently applied these methods in negotiating a competitive bump in his annual salary.
So the other day I walked right into his office, grabbed his throat with my hand, and told him straight up, "Start paying me more f***ing money today." And I grabbed $100 out of his wallet and told him that was a good start.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Kicking off hour number 3 in studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And you can join us by dialing toll-free 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And, you know, we're going to change gears here, and I've got a story here about something that I'm not sure when the last time it was talked about on Free Talk Live. I'm fairly certain it was talked about at some point. Medical tourism.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this concept?
I certainly am.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
It's when you have extremely high costs of medical care or a particular medical procedure in your country and you elect to travel to a different country. And oftentimes they offer all sorts of amenities that you may not get in your home country.
Yeah, I was actually listening to a podcast not too long ago that was talking about this, to where, and I forget what the procedure was, but somebody flew from the United States to Egypt, stayed in a very nice, I think they described it as almost like a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
Had the medical procedure done, stayed there for a week, and flew back, and it was still cheaper than whatever it would have cost them in the U.S. There are other people that, for other procedures, will travel to Mexico. I know it's actually fairly common in Southern California for people to have a dentist in Mexico, or an American dentist to have an office in Mexico, because they're not required when they're operating in Mexico to comply with all of the regulatory burdens that exist in the U.S. of, you're taking this insurance, which means that you have to take Medicare, which means that you have to bill everybody the same, and you can't give discounts for this, that, the other thing. Just come. I'm in my Mexico office on Fridays. Come down. I'll do the root canal there.
That's brilliant. If I were a physician or a dentist or anything like that, I mean, why wouldn't you think about that? If you could find like a low cost, a low cost office space, and then put together this sort of vacation plan that you could offer your patients, that's brilliant.
Article here comes from FEE, and it's talking about the rise of medical tourism. There's simply no way of getting around it. They say American healthcare is exorbitantly expensive. But while many people look to government to solve the nation's healthcare woes, the real solution lies elsewhere. In fact, the more the government intervenes in healthcare, the higher the costs seem to rise. Just look at what happened when the Affordable Care Act, what people refer to as Obamacare, was implemented. Cost of care rose, and many families suddenly found themselves unable to afford insurance premiums.
I'm sorry, but can we just take that one back too? Can the Affordable Care Act, at what point can we stop calling it the Affordable Care Act? It's not affordable. It is.
Right, it's not affordable, but
it increased medical costs.
That's the name of the legislation, so that's what I'm going to call it.
I understand that, Darryl. I respect that. I do tremendously, but I think that I would support a bill that would rename that to the Highway Robbery While We Drive Up Your Cost of Healthcare Act. That is closer. The unneeded and unnecessary bureaucracy act would be good.
And a much better name, instead of calling it Obamacare, call it what it really is.
Right.
Gingrich Care. Because Newt Gingrich came up with the idea in the 90s when Hillary was pitching her thing when she was First Lady, pitching the concept of what she called Hillary Care. Newt Gingrich came up with the individual mandate.
But they always call it whatever the president's name is and then care.
Not always. No.
Hillary Care, Trump Care, Obamacare.
It has become sort of a thing, and that kind of started with Obamacare. Well, did we ever call Hillary Care Hillary Care?
It was called Hillary Care.
Yeah. Hillary Care didn't get anywhere because Hillary was
the thing in
insisting she do the entire thing in secret.
The thing in Massachusetts, they called Romney Care, and that was before the Obama thing.
That does ring a bell, yeah.
No, but I think it does probably go back to Hillary.
It's kind of like, any kind of scandal is something gate.
Right.
And it all goes back to Watergate.
Right.
Which that was the actual name of the hotel where the thing happened, was the Watergate Hotel.
Yeah.
But then they're, the Pizza Gate, this gate, that gate, delivery gate.
That's okay.
The gate. Continuing on with the article here from FEE, but where government intervention has failed the healthcare sector, free market innovation has become its savior. The rising cost of healthcare in both North America and Europe have actually created a void in the marketplace, and medical tourism is filling that void by offering a whole new avenue of choice for healthcare consumers. For anyone unfamiliar with the term, medical tourism is when someone chooses to travel outside their country of origin, usually to less developed countries, in search of affordable quality medical care. And it also happens to be one of the fastest growing global industries. In 2016, this sector was valued at $100 billion, and is expected to experience a 25% year-by-year growth by the year 2025. And in an era of soaring medical cost, it's also saving healthcare consumers thousands of dollars and providing them with the care they so desperately need. The thought of traveling outside the United States for healthcare might sound absurd to many Americans. After all, why would we travel to a developing country for medical treatment when we live in one of the richest countries in the world? The truth is, while American healthcare costs continue to rise, something quite spectacular is occurring in other parts of the globe. The costs are going down while the quality is going up. In India, for example, the critically acclaimed Narayana Rudayalaya Heart Hospital offers cardiac surgeries for between $5,000 to $7,000. The same surgery in the United States would cost upwards of $50,000. And as far as medical procedures are concerned, in Costa Rica, a knee replacement surgery can cost around $23,000. However, that surgery in the United States, between $35,000 to $60,000.
Isn't that insane? And what could have ever come about that caused all these costs to increase? Let's think about this. I'm putting on my thinking cap. Oh yeah, government got even more involved in health insurance.
Right.
And I say health insurance on purpose because this has nothing to do with medical care.
Correct.
This is about, and that's why when you listen to news stories on this stuff, well, the cost of insurance premiums are skyrocketing, and the cost of, people's deductibles is increasing, and their copays. Since when are all insurance terms all we talk about when we talk about health care? It's a distortion of the marketplace. Insurance distorts the marketplace because it perverts the pricing mechanism that markets do. And if you remove this requirement required by law to offer employees insurance, and that becomes law that you have to do this, the government is telling you what you have to buy, then everything goes wrong. And that's what this has done.
Yeah, and it's not just the requirements for insurance or all of the government intervention into the insurance market. There are also government interventions into where hospitals can be.
Sure.
Most new hospitals wind up needing a certificate of need, which means that all of the other hospitals in a certain distance get to decide, do we really need another hospital here? Think about that for a second.
Right.
If restaurants went through the same process, then Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, and Arby's would all decide whether we really need another restaurant. Do we need a restaurant that serves home-cooked food?
Pizza. Pizza's been the topic tonight.
You could do home-cooked pizza.
Yeah.
But, do we really need, Granny's Diner opening on Main Street?
Pizza again, Daryl?
I did just to troll you.
Anybody listening want to buy Heather a pizza and have it sent to the studio? That would be great.
She has offered to come on to Discord, so she's an often requested
just
celebrity
really hungry
on
for pizza right now.
Yeah, we're picking up on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have all these different distortions. I personally feel, because I worked in insurance,
vote whether or not Heather really needs a pizza.
I
always need pizza. We're going to vote on a certificate of need.
We'll do it government
Does
style.
she need pizza? I vote no.
No.
This is oppression.
I'm abstaining.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So it failed to get a majority, so therefore she doesn't need it. This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE.
She's such a beautiful little puppy. I mean, we walk around the block and neighbors always say, her hair is so beautiful.
Healthy and shiny and glossy. DINOVITE.com.
Fatty acids, omega-3s, and omega-6s are great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
I would really recommend people starting their puppies on Dinovite before they get into what I would call the misery index. Bad skin, bad ears, bad breath.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the allergies,
grass, pollen, dust,
dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
Dynavite for life.
This is Ed Lukasevic.
And Cindy Lukasevic.
Inviting you and your pets to Dynavite.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Good technology is good, but the philosophy behind the tech is important. And Zen Cache was made by voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. With no central authority or single point of failure, Zen Cache is more resilient than a traditional corporation. Everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in decision-making, which empowers stakeholders and makes Zen Cache less susceptible to third-party influence. And Zen Cache allows for secure private transactions. Learn more at zencache.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back into the discussion about the medical tourism here in just a moment. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about a wonderful pillow. And, well, why is it a wonderful pillow? Well, because I would say it's the best pillow that I've ever used, and you can try it yourself risk-free for 60 days. That's because there's a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you've got nothing to lose. Go to MyPillow.com. Get 2 MyPillow premium pillows for one low price, and you get free shipping on all orders when you use promo code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. And remember, if for some reason you don't like your MyPillow, you have 60 days to return it for a full refund. That's MyPillow.com, code FTL. Before we jump back into the article here from Fee about the rise of medical tourism, let's go to the phones where we've got Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, I have a shout out to David. You know the David from New Mexico?
Yeah, we don't really do shout outs, though.
Yeah,
do we,
he's
Darryl?
a chronic caller. We don't do shout outs, but go ahead with your thought.
Sarah does shout outs.
All right. Shout it
Well,
out.
the thing is that, I was listening the day that they banned him from talking to his representative, Steve Pierce. I was listening to that. He called in, and he was going to ask him questions, and they hung up on him. They talked over him, and then he cut him short.
So you're talking about, for people that might not have been listening to the show last night when David called in to talk about this.
Okay.
Apparently, a couple of the local talk radio stations there in Albuquerque have, basically they've stopped taking his calls to where if they know that it's him, they don't answer the phone, or if somehow he slips through, they'll just get rid of him.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, I want to let him know that I got kicked off of 4 of that station. And then there's only one station, and they call them number 1. There's only there's one station, KKOB, that you can listen to. And they said
there are a bunch of stations that you can listen to. Sarah, thank you for the call.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, you can always call
Sarah's
another
been
radio
banned from
station,
4 stations.
But we always take Sarah's calls, and we always
Right.
take David's calls. There are very few people that have ever reached the point of you're not going to get on the air. And it's because generally you've promoted violence against people who work here, our co-hosts and things like that. So, yeah, it's a pretty high bar.
And radio stations, and some of them may or may not be affiliates of this show. They have the right, the program directors, the management, they have the right to decide who can and cannot be on their airwaves.
Right.
It's not preventing him from talking to representatives. It's just not giving him a platform on that particular show or whatnot.
I do think it's important too, though, that at the end of the day, callers, there's only so many minutes of our time that we have to go over things. So there is sort of a system of
keeping the show moving.
If we see on our screen we have 5 people calling, and each one of them has a different topic, and we only have enough for one. It's we kind of, as a show, also have to pick and choose which calls we take and which we don't. So I can see other stations maybe being a little selective in their choosing as well.
They do. We try to get to every call. I mean, and it's not because we're required by law, because we're a radio show and we can kind of do what we wish, but it's sort of a policy that we try to take every call that comes in. And I would rather
we can do that because our volume of calls is probably not as busy as some of the bigger shows that they may or may not call
We're not
into.
quite at Sean Hannity levels or anything like that. But yeah, we do try to. And if you've not worked a weekend show, a Friday or Saturday night,
we need new callers. So if you're one of those people that always listen to this show, but you've never called in, you should really call in because, no disrespect to the people that call in every night, but it is nice to hear new voices, new ideas, new opinions and inputs and stuff like that. And so I wish we did kind of have a bigger volume of callers,
different ones on Friday.
Yeah,
or on Thursday nights.
There's so many people out there with so much to bring to the table. And
on the Saturday show,
I encourage people to call in.
What's referred to as the chronic callers, those that call every single night or almost every single night, they don't get on Saturdays.
Not always. But even then,
sometimes they do.
Right.
But if there are 4 calls on the line, 3 of them are people that call every single night, and one of the calls is somebody that you've never heard from before, we're going to the guy that we've never heard from before,
right?
Just because something different.
Something different. And I will say, if you've never worked a Saturday night show in particular, I've done a lot of them with Mark or with Ian. Never with Darryl, I don't think, on a Saturday, but it's not unusual for us to start off the show with a story, show prep, we brought it in, we get through the first paragraph, and then the phones take over, and it's that until
and then we never
leave.
Finish the story.
I like that, though. I think
great.
That's
it is great.
Great conversation. Because generally, a lot of whatever you're talking about will prompt more callers because it'll be such a meaningful conversation. And that's, I feel, is the best when it comes to discussing it.
Right. And that's usually, it really depends on the subjects, too. And I will say that on Thursday nights, we probably hit more esoteric stories than we do on some other nights.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm doing a show on a Saturday night, I'll just, find a good Second Amendment story. And there's certain topics that bring up emotions in people, and those are the ones that will generate phone calls. So, yeah, I mean, really, we'll maybe start trying next Thursday to bring in some more of those kind of hot button type stories and
just whatever's trending, because that's what I think the easiest way even to get ideas of liberty out there is that when you have these trending topics, especially like right now, immigration's one of them. A lot of the time with the NFL, the kneeling thing, is when certain things are trending, talk about those topics and put the smaller government take on it, or the liberty take on it,
which we always do. But
so
I will
way
say
it can
this:
fit into the conversation.
I will say this: a radio show that's talking about how many phone calls it gets for a radio show.
That's not good radio.
Probably not good radio at all.
Yeah, and then
but
discussing
we find
all of
it
the
interesting.
inner workings.
Exactly. So I think if we did a show that talked about, whether really meat lovers is the best pizza or not, I mean, that would be a compelling show.
And then we should wind up inviting Randians to call in.
Probably get a lot more listeners than SCOTUS.
Invite Randians to call in because they think that everything is objective, and then we could have two Randians arguing the objective nature of pineapple on pizza, and that would actually be absolutely boring. It would be fun and entertaining for 30 seconds.
And for four of us. Yes.
Continuing on with this article about medical tourism from FEE, the Foundation for Economic Education, they say it's not just the affordable costs that are appealing to foreign healthcare consumers. In Costa Rica, for example, the facilities are so pristine, many offer spa services and even provide a private concierge to each of the patients while they recover. But India and Costa Rica are just two examples of popular destinations for medical tourism. Countries like Brazil offer medical services at rates 20 to 30% cheaper than the United States, and in Singapore, healthcare costs about 25 to 40% less than in the United States. Continuing on, plus your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live. What are your thoughts on medical tourism?
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
If you like alkaline water, or know someone that does, you're going to love the Dillon Living Water Bottle. It creates alkaline water on the go while reducing plastic waste and saving you money. Made with surgical-grade stainless steel, the Dillon bottle increases the pH up to 9 to deliver both alkaline and antioxidant water anywhere you want it. Alkaline water is healthier, tastes better, and can even boost energy. The Dillon bottle makes it easy and affordable to be healthy and achieve optimal hydration. Get your Dillon bottle today at dyln.co. That's dyln.co.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
If you're looking for work, or even if you're not, here's an innocent mistake you really want to avoid. Never return calls before listening to your voicemail. Your wireless phone sends calls you didn't answer into voicemail, and it shows you phone numbers for calls you missed. Important, don't call back callers you missed until you have first listened to your messages. Otherwise, you frustrate people who bothered to leave messages by asking them to repeat a message they just left as your voicemail greeting instructed them to. If you're a job applicant, this alone could be a deal killer. And even if you're not, there are few things you can convey to someone that are as fundamentally maddening as, "I didn't hear you." With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Want to invite you to head over to victimlesscrimespree.com and watch the documentary about our friend Derek J., who over the course of about a year after moving to Keene, New Hampshire, got arrested a number of times and faced a lot of jail time unless he wound up taking a plea deal, which he wound up doing, so that he avoided, I think it was somewhere between 9 to 11 years in prison that they said he was facing, and instead he wound up getting a good bit suspended and doing about 90 days behind bars. And none of the crimes that he committed had victims. It was throwing a dance party, attempting to smoke in public, trying to go to a courthouse, singing to some politicians.
Right.
Victimlesscrimespree.com. Or there's also the limited edition DVD that has a lot of bonus features that you can buy from victimlesscrimespree.com. We'll get back into the article here from Fee about the medical tourism. But first to Skype, where we've got David calling in from Albuquerque. David, I'm not sure if you were listening a few moments ago when Sarah invoked your name. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I just happened to catch it, and I was listening to your podcast about 20 minutes behind live or so, and I caught it. But so two things. One, what that radio station is doing, I allege, and we don't need to waste time laying out the legal argument, but they are involved in political racketeering. In short, because in certain races, you cannot get elected unless you appear on their radio station. And so it's a necessary process in this market, in this jurisdiction, whatever, to get elected. And if that's the case, you can't shut out callers, because then you are controlling the election to some degree.
Well,
and that's what they were doing.
By limiting who you put in opinion polls, you're basically influencing how people vote. There are all kinds of things that people can wind up, throwing about,
right,
that says this influences the election. And one of them is not inviting all of the candidates to a debate.
Right.
I don't think that there should be a law that says that you have to invite every candidate to a debate, but I think that every candidate should be invited to the debate.
There are many ways to influence it, and like I said, I won't drag everybody through the boring discussion of it. But the bottom line is that's what they're doing, and it's blatant, and it's very effective.
If you think there's some racketeering going on, I would suggest contacting the Attorney General, unless you think that he would not listen. David, thank you for the call.
And that's, I don't know, it frustrates people when people's preferred candidate doesn't get every opportunity, but that doesn't mean that number one, there is a law and racketeering is a very specific charge.
Correct.
But it doesn't mean that there has to be a law. It just means that maybe if a station doesn't invite your candidate consistently, then maybe you don't listen to that radio station. Maybe you encourage other people, say, you know what, these guys really do play politics and they're just trying to get their guy elected. Why would you want to listen to that?
Right, but that's one of the things here in Keene. Libertarian and some conservatives refer to the local newspaper as the Slantinal,
right,
instead of the Sentinel, because there's obviously a bias in how they report certain things. Just because they happen to endorse people that generally are members of the Democratic Party doesn't mean that they're preventing Republicans from getting fair coverage, or they're preventing libertarians from getting fair coverage, because they'll run our letters to the editor.
Right. And that's a big difference. And everything's always going to have its own spin on it. You know, you've got your Fox Newses of the world, but you also got your CNNs and your MSNBCs.
Right.
And you have Free Talk Live, which I like to think represents a third viewpoint, and oftentimes a better one.
Yes. Getting back into the article from
even our hosts have all kinds of viewpoints, though.
Well, we all have one, and then there's you.
No, it's not everyone then, Heather.
Come on. Just kidding.
Conan believes some weird, crazy things as well.
Conan's great on a show.
Well, I feel like I'm a rational person.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah.
Continuing with the article from Fee about medical tourism, they say it's no wonder, and again, they're talking about the much lower prices in countries like India, Costa Rica, Brazil, Singapore. It's no wonder then that these countries are becoming popular destinations for medical tourists. In fact, medical tourism is becoming so popular, it's attracting consumers from all corners of the globe. In 2016 alone, over 1.4 million Americans left the United States with the explicit purpose of seeking more affordable medical care abroad. Canada and European countries are also seeing an influx of people choosing to travel internationally in search of cheaper medical care. According to research conducted by IPK International, 3 to 4% of the global population travels abroad for health care. But all this sounds almost too good to be true. It seems almost impossible to believe that less developed countries can offer quality care at a fraction of the cost. So, is it too good to be true?
That's just, number one, it's spin. We seem to have this belief that if you get medical anywhere other than a first world country, then it's going to be unsanitary, and the doctors obviously haven't been trained to, Western levels of medicine and things like that. And, check out the here's a good one for you. Check out the Nobel Prizes in medicine. Check out the Nobel Prizes in a variety of scientists. Look at international
chemistry,
ratings,
math,
and look at where some of these most, mind-blowing operations are being created to do things that never has been done. And oftentimes you're going to see those in these, quote, third world countries, because the first world has become a regulatory quagmire. You can't do anything without government permission, and that just quashes any creativity, and it drives me nuts.
Imagine needing a knee replacement and having your employer offer you two options. You can either pay $3,000 out of pocket and have the procedure performed in the United States, or you can opt to take an all-expense-paid vacation to Costa Rica. And on top of the free trip, you get a $2,500 bonus check. For employers of the North Carolina-based furniture manufacturer Hickory Springs, this is a choice many do get to make. And it should come as no surprise that more than 250 employees have made the decision to take the trip to Costa Rica. But before you start thinking that this all seems too good to be true, let's consider what the employer has to gain. In the 5 years that Hickory Springs has begun offering to send its employees abroad for medical treatment, the company has saved over $10 million on healthcare costs. On paper, this seems almost impossible, especially since the employees needing care also receive first-class airfare and a personal assistant during their stay, not to mention the bonus check.
I love it.
But since the actual cost of care is half of what the same care would cost in the U.S., the company still saves an enormous amount of money by treating their employees to top-of-the-line care.
What's the company name again, Darryl? I'm going to definitely be reading this article in detail.
Hickory Springs Manufacturing.
I love that whole idea that it is our country is so ridiculously overpriced that we'll basically send you on a huge vacation.
We will give you, and again, all expense paid trip to Costa Rica and a $2,500 bonus check.
Right. We're paying you to take a vacation and get the medical work done that you need.
Yes. Continuing on, they ask, how do they do it? Medical tourism sounds great, but many might be wondering how it's feasible for these facilities to offer such high-quality care at such low prices. Well, hang around, and we'll tell you how they do it, plus your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So, given the choice, would you go to Costa Rica to get some medical care done? If your employer paid in full, this is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynovite.
Pick up 2 bottles of Super Mega Fish Oil.
Get the 3rd bottle free. Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Dogs love it. Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zen Cache in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zen Cache is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencache.com. That's zencache.com.
Hello, this is Dr. Bill Deagle, MD of NutriMedical.com, announcing the breakthrough Red Deer Velvet DR. It delivers the protected building blocks of all organs and tissues, allowing your own stem cells as architects and engineers to regenerate you. Not since fetal life, when aging does not occur, has such an amazing NutriMed been available to help heal you and regenerate you. Anti-aging requires that you correct mineral, activated nutraceutical, and jump the gene defects and poor diet you have to deliver the cellular tools for regeneration. You must remove old damaged cells and replace them with your young healthy cells to wind the biological clock to a younger you. Order your Red Deer Velvet DR now at NutriMedical.com 24/7 or 888-212-8871. That's NutriMedical, N-U-T-R-I, Medical, MEDICAL.com, or call our order line 888-212-8871. Free Talk Live.
They have satellite image pictures of cities on the moon.
No, they
and
don't.
Of course yes, they do.
That's a load of garbage. I've never heard of any such thing. A quick Google search would reveal whatever these lame-o pictures are supposed to be, which of course you yourself have never done, right? You've never seen these alleged photos, correct?
No, but it's actually the.
Why would you go around saying that there are pictures of cities on the moon if you yourself have never seen them?
Well, because I heard it on a late night, 2 o'clock in the morning when I used to have that show here.
Yeah, you're talking about the overnight kook show? Coast to Coast. Coast to Coast.
Yeah, they banned that show 5 years ago.
No, they didn't.
I used to stay up.
Who's they?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Discord.lrn.fm now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at Discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at Discord.lrn.fm. That's Discord.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now. Again, 855-450-FREE. Chris, you know what I'm going to be doing this November, don't you?
You're going to run somewhere, I bet.
Yes, running in the New York City Marathon, and I have officially hit the fundraising goal. As of earlier today, some of the matching funds came in, plus I raised some funds at Fork Fest, where during the Fork Fest had some fundraising games, and that brought in $243, plus had $500 of matching come in earlier today. Dropped those checks in the mail to the Innocence Project, so I am officially over the fundraising goal. But that doesn't mean that the Innocence Project can't use more funding.
Yep. Oh, absolutely! Because you know what documentary I watched the other day?
What?
The Making a Murderer one.
You've brought that up like that.
Yeah, I know, with the Steve Avery's case. I had no idea that even happened until I watched it, which is like it happened. I mean, the documentary came out years ago, and yeah, it's just like getting to my attention now, but I had no idea when I watched it, and they mentioned that the Innocence Project was actually one of the organization that helped overturn his fraudulent conviction or whatever. And so
Innocence Project helps people that have been wrongly convicted. The vast majority of their clients, there's DNA evidence that proves that they did not commit the crime. You can still contribute. run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com. Let's go to the Discord call-in line where we've got Old Dirty Penguin, who I think also has used the name Mortified Penguin.
ODP.
So he's either old and dirty or mortified, but he's still a penguin, and he's on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts. Mortified, dirty penguin?
Do we got a mute somewhere?
Hold on. I unmuted the wrong thing on the board here.
There we go.
Mortified, dirty penguin?
Okay.
All right.
There you are.
All right. Hey, Minister Darryl, Brother Chris, Sister Heather. I'm calling from the Duchy of the Ellerin Lord. Just wanted to call in on some Gun Talk Live. I guess that's mainly for Chris. What do you think, Chris, about the deregulation of suppressors, of firearm suppressors? That was gaining some traction. There was some, mass shootings, a lot of talk of gun control.
Right.
Before that, there was a lot of talk of deregulating suppressors from the National Firearms Act, and they've become really, they've been mainstreamed a lot on the internet, online gun community.
Yeah.
And they were putting forth some bills.
Yeah, those. There was a Hearing Protection Act, I think that's what it was called, and. Yeah. For those of you who aren't familiar with, when we talk about a suppressor for a firearm, that's what in the movies is known as a, quote, silencer. It makes your gun completely silent, so it just sounds like, and that's it, and that's all that happens. That's not at all what happens when you put a suppressor on a rifle or a handgun. It reduces the sound, And the idea that a lot of people are promoting is this would be really good for shooting sports, so people don't get their hearing damaged. I can tell you from doing my years in the military, your hearing is damaged by gunfire, and it's one of the reasons that we spend a lot of money on hearing protection and things like that. So I think it's a common sense thing. There's nothing about a suppressor that makes a gun more dangerous. It doesn't. There's just no reason why that needs to be regulated. And the legislation that I've seen says, well, it makes a suppressor, you have to follow the same things as if you were just buying a regular firearm. And that's not even good enough for me. A suppressor should just be an accessory. It shouldn't be regulated. It should be regulated like a hand grip, which means not regulated.
Really, it should. You're right. It's a step. That would be a step forward. But really, I mean, you're right. It's in a lot of countries. There's some countries that are actually pretty restrictive with firearms, but they actually suppressors are mainstream and not restricted because they want to reduce the sound.
Yeah,
it's just a different idea. But they're definitely not pew 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 assassin tools. They don't.
Right.
I mean, maybe on a 22, but they don't. Make it. It's not like the movies at all. It's just common sense. I've even seen cops. I mean, it's just common sense. If they're going to have to take out their like carbines, long guns, they have suppressors, just common sense, so they don't have this just monstrously loud sound that's completely disorienting. I mean, for home defense, for shooting, I mean, it's just common sense, really.
Yeah, I agree completely, and I'd love to see that take a common sense turn. I think it's going to be really difficult for anyone to pass anything that de-restricts our right to keep and bear arms. That's just not where the country seems to be.
I'm still confused by your use of the term common sense in
government.
My bad. When talking about government.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that one.
Dirty Mortified Penguin, any final thoughts?
Yeah, well, here's hoping that kind of thing passes, and just basic stuff like that. It's all based on hype. This idea that that silencers, I mean, even back when the 30s, when the National Firearms Act was passed, the idea that people were going around, pointing a gun silently offing somebody, and it's all wrong. It's not what they do. It's just something that brings the concussive sound to a reasonable. You still need hearing protection, but a much more comfortable volume.
All right, so I'm going to play. I don't know if devil's advocate is the right term, but confused liberal here for a moment.
Because I've heard their arguments. Go ahead.
So if you put a silencer on the end of an AR-15 with a 30-round bump stock, then nobody will ever hear the gun go off, and you can kill 1 million people in 2 seconds, right?
And that is literally the argument I've heard, that because, guns are loud, that makes it harder for people to kill each other. Therefore, if you make guns quieter, then it'll make it easier for people to kill each other. It's insanity.
But doesn't it make the gun invisible so nobody can see it?
No, you're thinking of the AR-15 cloaking device. We have one of those too, but you have to fill out a lot of government forms to get one of those.
Well, because of the regulations, most people haven't even really ever heard a suppressed. I don't think I've ever heard one in real life. I don't even think I have, because they're regulated. You have to have the tax stamp and all of that, and it's just not something that they were used to. But I've definitely heard. I definitely know enough about the subject to know that, I mean, I'd grab one now. I'd grab one now if I wanted to go to the hassle and the money. But definitely, if they opened up the market, the prices would go down. You wouldn't have to pay $200 to the government, which when it was passed, it was supposed to be it's equivalent of like $4,000 or something. You were supposed to pay to get one of those.
Yeah,
but still $200 just to get
for the privilege of buying a gun, or not even a gun in this case, an accessory. There's been workarounds for years on this thing, and you can go back 50 years and you'll see people talking about basically using a condom and a potato and putting that on the end of a barrel of a gun and tremendously reducing the report that comes out of the other end. There's the oil can suppressor, an attachment that would go on the end of your gun, and you basically feed a can of oil onto the threads that are on there, and that can do suppression. But all this stuff is just silly because it doesn't change a firearm. It just makes it quieter. And like I said, when you had The gangsters.
And if you put that flash guard thing on there, that makes it be able to shoot faster, right?
Well, yeah, some of the flash guards have like 3 prongs on the end. Those are made to hold the potato. That's what that's for. Yeah, exactly. It's insanity. But yeah, it's just one of those things that government gets involved and there's no need for it. And my real issue, whenever anybody brings up anything, you say, it's a really benign law. It's not infringing on anybody's rights. It's just doing this one little thing. It's like, but it'll never go away. That's the problem, that once you give, you freely relinquish your rights to government, it's hard as hell to ever get them back. And
well, in most cases, it wasn't people that freely relinquished anything. It was a group of politicians that said, yeah, we're going to do this now.
Right. But they will argue that, well, you elected those leaders who did that, except in the case of bureaucracy, legislation through bureaucracy, which is the other aspect of this. You have ATF coming up with their own random rules and random things that have the force of law behind them, and no politician ever voted on them.
Right.
They just turned over their power of creating new laws to a bunch of bureaucrats.
The aforementioned Patient Protection Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Even if one tried to read all however many thousands of pages on that, you still wouldn't know what it was going to do, because almost every section, and Mortified Dirty Penguin, thank you for the call, almost every section said such and such as directed by the Secretary of Health and Human Services. This has been Free Talk Live. We're out of time for tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow, and we are always online at freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds